action-packed episode of Dragon Ball Super. Krillin proves that he still has what it takes to throw down in the ring, when he has an epic sparring match with Goku and Gohan. This week's episode of DBS made it perfectly clear why this next arc is going to be so interesting and refreshing when compared to the previous tournament arcs from the series. It's going to be a battle royale, which means everybody's going to be working as a team. This is a lesson that Goku actually learns in this episode when he tries to see how strong Krillin has become in his training. That and the fact that he wants to recruit not only him, but Android 18 as well, and if everything goes according to plan, 17 is going to be on board. While it's not very mysterious about who the fighters are going to be, considering that you see them in the intro, and you see them even in this week's brand new outro, it is really exciting to see how they are going to be joining. I do think it's really weird, though, that both Goku and Gohan are not telling them about the whole rules of this tournament, that if they lose, it's going to mean everything is going to be destroyed. I mean, they're going to hear about this eventually. There's no doubt that when this tournament begins, they're going to go over the rules again, and I have a feeling there's going to be that big shocking moment where everybody learns the truth, and they get instantly pissed at Goku. Both Krillin and 18 have different reasons for joining the tournament. Krillin because he's the best friend of Goku, and Android 18 because she's promised that she's going to get a lot of money for this tournament. That's the only real reason she does this stuff. She does not work for free. Right after this, we get these two great sparring sessions between Goku, Gohan, and Krillin, with Krillin getting to show off some brand new techniques and even getting to establish the rules of this tournament of power. They're not allowed to fly. If they fall out of the ring, they lose. And Krillin basically demonstrated that despite the fact that he's not as powerful as Goku or Gohan, his strategy can still actually earn him a victory. He soundly defeats Gohan with an upgraded version of the Solar Flare, which he calls Solar Flare times 100, which is so powerful that even when you close your eyes, you're still going to feel the effects, and you'll also lose concentration in trying to sort of pinpoint where someone's ki is. And this allows Krillin to basically just wail on Gohan right here. That's not to say that Gohan doesn't get any cool hits. I mean, there is this one moment where I literally thought he was going to kill Krillin when he, punched him a couple times and sent him flying into these rocks. Somehow Krillin survived just enough to come up with this secret technique to take him down, and they both learned a lesson. Gohan realizing that he shouldn't underestimate his opponents and that he should rely on some good strategy, and of course Krillin utilizing some brand new techniques and seeing that you don't necessarily have to be a freaking Saiyan to be a threat in this series. Right after this, Goku gets so excited that he wants to have another match with Krillin, and they go up to the top of this massive skyscraper in the city that's owned by Mr. Satan. This setting is incredibly cool for this little sparring match that they have, and as soon as it kicks off, it is just great. I especially love the fact that since the characters aren't allowed to fly, it actually makes the battles more dynamic with them having to dodge ki blasts in a lot of interesting ways. Watching Goku duck and skid across this giant heliport as he's getting rid of all these destructive discs which are being thrown at him. Again, Krillin utilizing his unique ability to mess with his opponent's minds by actually cutting up this hole right underneath Goku's feet, hoping that he will fall through. He goes Super Saiyan, it doesn't work, and then when he decides to go Super Saiyan Blue, that's the moment where it's like, yeah, Goku's about to murder Krillin, and they both have this little Kamehameha standoff, and Krillin is definitely going to lose, and Android 18 decides to jump in, kicks the Kamehameha blast away by kicking Goku in the arm, and that's when I thought was going to be one of the greatest moments of the series, when we got to see both Krillin and 18 team up against Goku, and it seems like it's going to happen until Goku decides to just call it off, because that's the moment where, just like Gohan, he realizes that this is going to be a team effort. It's not just about him this time, and him going completely all out and being utterly terrifying. He's going to have to rely on his teammates and his friends, and some actual strategy for once, aside from just turning into a berserker frickin' Bruce Lee. I really like this, though. It is firmly establishing that this is going to be very different than any other tournament arc that we've had in the series, and I can't wait to see more of the team dynamic between all of these characters. I think it's going to make it one of the coolest arcs in all of Dragon Ball. If anything, it's going to give some time to some of these other side characters, and it gives them an excuse to do something really awesome and even team up with some of the coolest characters in the series. The hype is freaking real, guys, and it's only going to get even crazier in next week's episode. The preview looked fantastic. It looks like we're going to get a little bit into Android 17. We're going to get to see some of the other fighters from Universe 11, which means more Pride Troopers, including the one who looks a lot like Beerus. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? A very simple, action-packed episode. There was no mystery as who the fighters were going to be from Universe 7. I mean, it's obvious. It's been in the promotional material, the intros, it's everywhere. But, like I said, this episode was really fun getting to see how all of these fighters are going to be joining, and this was definitely a Krillin episode. Which is great. He's one of the greatest anime sidekicks of all time. I almost hate to say sidekick, because he's so much more than that, considering all of the crazy adventures that he's gone on. And watching this episode sort of made me reflect on that, like when he was actually battling against Gohan, reminding me of the time they were on Namek, and went through all of those adventures where they were nearly killed multiple times by Zarbon, Dodoria, Vegeta, the Ginyu Force, and hell, even Frieza himself. They really formed a really strong relationship there, and finally getting to see them fight was really satisfying, and seeing Krillin win just felt right. I really liked it. I also liked that it's sort of breaking convention with Dragon Ball, where typically whoever just has the most power wins. That's it, just end of story. But the fact that strategies are going to be involved in this arc leads me to believe that we're going to see some really creative stuff from the Dragon Ball team, aside from just the same old ki blasts. I mean, they're still going to be there, and they're still going to be awesome and super flashy, but I think we're also going to get a little more diversity in the series, which is something that I think it's needed for a really long time. That being said, I do think it's kind of lame that the new techniques that Krillin are using, like the Solar Flare, is just like a super-powered version of that, or the fact that he can throw multiple Destructo Discs. I want to see something completely new from the character, and he claims that he has a few more tricks up his sleeve, and I sort of wish this for all of the characters who are going to be a part of this arc, because we just need some new stuff for the series to really breathe some life into it. And despite the fact that we're going to get some really unique opponents and everything, I think it's going to take just a little bit more than that. That being said, I still haven't been this excited to be a Dragon Ball fan since, like, the old days. I mean, it just so much great prospects for what can actually happen in this brand new arc, and I especially can't wait for the next episode. I also really like this one too because of Android 18 being very supportive of Krillin and even wanting to help him at the very end of the episode. I feel like we got snubbed out of a little bit of a match. It would have been really cool to see, but then again, Goku might not have actually learned the lesson that he was going for. Like, in this fight, it was just a one-on-one deal. He's gonna have to realize that when this is happening in the Tournament of Power, another fighter could come from just about any direction and just completely deck him in the face. He has to be prepared for anything, and they're gonna have to come up with some great strategies. And Gohan apparently is going to be the strategy man, and it makes sense. He is the scholar, so he'll be able to come up with some pretty cool things. I especially can't wait to see what he's going to be doing with Piccolo, considering how strong of a bond that they have. That being said, this week's episode was really fun if you wanted to see Krillin fight against Gohan and Goku. There was some pretty good animation during the scene with Goku and Krillin having their battle. The whole thing with Gohan was okay, but there were still a few moments again in the episode that looked a little sloppy and a little lazy, but that's kind of normal for Dragon Ball. That's just the way that they do things. However, in the small bursts that the action scenes kick in, they all look really good, and for the most part, this is a series that benefits from its character designs being very simple. Otherwise, it was a good-looking episode. So, check it out, Dragon Ball Super fans. It was pretty kick-ass. I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. There were a few moments to me that just looked a little too ugly and sloppy, but for the most part, this was an incredibly entertaining episode that any Dragon Ball fan should check out. If any of you did watch the episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. What sort of strategies do you hope to see in the Tournament of Power? Were you shocked that Krillin was able to hold his own and even defeat Gohan in this episode? What did you think of the Krillin versus Goku battle, and what do you hope to see from the Tournament of Power? If you like the content I'm delivering, please subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of my Dragon Ball Super reviews, as well as reviews of a lot of other anime series that I cover, like the brand new seasons of My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan. I just reviewed those today, so make sure to check those out on the channel or at the links at the very end of this video. And please leave me a comment or two. I'd love to talk with you guys about this week's episode. And remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.